from being able to haul gravel, haul spoil, stone, logs without taking those tanks off. So this new vehicle that we are looking for approval will have the tank located between the cab of the truck where the operator sits and the bed of the truck, which actually tips. So we can utilize that truck for other operations during the winter if need be.
And the heart of the question, in here you mentioned that there's been problems with trucks in the past that you've had to go back for warranties. When you have an aftermarket product that's half the value of the whole unit, how does that affect the warranty on the chassis? Are we going to have any problems with the with International saying that you voided the warranty by going to aftermarket? How strong is that original warranty? And have you? And the second half of this question is this vehicle not going to have the problems that you mentioned in your memorandum?
The other items mentioned in the memorandum refer to other vehicles that we replace, not similar trucks. But when you build a truck that has $60,000-$70,000 worth of options, occasionally items do go wrong. Both manufacturers that we requested quotes from are excellent, have taken care of the city, have addressed all problems that we have had, and we're comfortable with bringing both as asked to give us proposals. So with that said, International will stand behind their product. Most of these vehicles are upfitted by someone. No one traditionally uses a cabin chassis as a cabin chassis. They normally upfit it with something, whether it be a box, a flatbed, etc. There's always going to be some amount of bolt-ons, add-ons, upfitting done to a vehicle that they understand that's the purpose of it. So International stands behind obviously their cabin chassis. The upfitter stands behind the products that they bolt on to that vehicle.
Well, Mr. Kramer, if you feel satisfied that you've done your due diligence and that this combination of chassis and add-on is sufficient, and that you've gotten the best add-on, and that you like the larger size gallon capacity, and it has the back end open for other work, and you're convinced that the warranties are going to be upstanding and not conflict with each other, then I say you've made a good choice, and we would certainly vote for it.
Thank you.
Alderman Coles?
I have one question, John. Are you going to have that greater blade in the middle underneath the cab? Like on one of them, I believe it has.
Yes, on one vehicle, 231, we have a belly plow,
A
which is
belly
basically
plow,
a
yes.
snow plow bolted to the bottom of the vehicle.
Yeah, are you going to have that on this particular truck?
No, when we look to replace 231, we will look to put a belly-mounted plow on 231 when we replace it. We rarely use that for anything other than scraping surface
scraping,
ice.
Yeah.
And in talking with staff and talking with operators to get a good feel for what they needed, at this time, we didn't feel we needed another belly plow. That's not to
All right.
say
Okay,
down the
that's all I
line we
want.
may not. It's important to realize also in looking at this vehicle, we also did spec this with a stainless steel body. The box on the rear is all stainless, so it will not require painting. It will not require sandblasting and painting like many of other vehicles do. So that's another item that was included by staff that they wanted to look at.
That's a good idea because then the salt doesn't eat it up. Salt
Correct.
doesn't eat it up. Okay.
Alderman Police, did you wish to be recognized?
Just one more question, John. How old are the other trucks? I mean, we've got 5 other trucks. Are they getting close to their life expectancy, or?
Not having the roster in front of me, and don't quote me on these numbers. I know 232 and 235 were both replaced within the last 5 years. 234 and 33 are like years, and they are within being, they're probably 6 or 7 years old, and 231 now will be the oldest vehicle street department has, and I want to say that is a 97 or 98, so it's 10 years old.
Okay, and then during all the snowfalls we've had, were any of the trucks down during that time? Do we have a lot of maintenance problems with these older trucks?
Not so much with the older vehicles, it's the amount of snow we receive. We had storms back to back for going on 2 months now, and every one of our trucks in the fleet have been in and out of vehicle maintenance for one reason or another. Minor issues, nothing transmission and engine, nothing catastrophic, but there are minor problems with all of our vehicles that just come from wear and tear, the amount of continual snowstorms.
Alderman Wesley.
Keep in mind, guys, every year we have equipment replacement schedule to replace equipment, squad cars, public works, cars. If we go ahead and go off that, that is going to throw the whole cycle off. So this is a budget item. It's been approved in the budget. We all pass a budget. I mean, it's ongoing. We replace a capital project equipment every year. So I don't know why are we having this debate so long with this.
Alderman Coles.
Well, we used to lease our trucks, and we used to pay a certain amount and at the end of 5 years, the truck belonged to us. We don't do that anymore. We did that quite a few years ago, and we used to lease them for 5 years and pay a payment of each year, and then the truck would be paid for. That was a few years ago. Also, is the truck going to be white or yellow?
The truck's going to be white. The cab of the truck's going to be
the new
white.
trucks are white now.
And then the rear of the vehicle will be an unpainted silver color for that stainless box.
Okay, but that's what it used to be that we used to go on a payment, on a five-year payment plan.
Some vehicles we do still have
We
leased. The
still do
Vector
that?
for one.
We still at it. All right, okay.
Okay, so there is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I make a motion to adjourn, or actually, are there any items for future meetings? Okay, no items for future meetings. Alderman Lewitton?
I'd like to ask you to add on future meetings about the recycle bins for drugs. I saw that we had mentioned that in the notes here.
Okay, the recycled bins for drugs, I believe that's under public health and safety.
Oh, it is? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so if you can bring it up then, that'd be great. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Call the Finance Committee in order. Let the minute taker note that same people are present. I need a motion to approve the minutes of January 8th, 2009.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The other item on the agenda today is about report and recommendation for water billing process. The reason this is being brought to you is it seems like there's, they're just going to explain the procedures on how they do with the turnoffs and all that. And I have three people that will do a presentation on how it operates in the finance department, because I'm not the expert on this. So Brad, if you want to take this and then turn it over to your partners over there, that's fine, but go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Wesley. Before I begin, I would just like to introduce the fine ladies I have with me here tonight. To my left is Miss Nicole Hoffman. She's our utility billing coordinator, been with the city about 4.5 years. And over at the overhead machine, coming back is Miss Samantha Warden. She's been with us. It'll be 7 months next Friday, if we're counting it exactly. What we have here on the screen for you now is the condensed version. The other one I know is, a page and a half long and gets kind of wordy at times. This is our current shutoff procedure. So from the time your bill goes out to the time you get shut off, if you notice, is 70 days. The number in parentheses is a running total of how long what day we're on in the process. And as you should have read in the memo and the narratives, the only way to get a 28-day notice is to have a balance of over $100 on your account. So if your balance is $99.99, no shut-off notice. One caveat, and also is in number 2, is the way the ordinance is written now is it says if your balance is below $100, you will not get shut off. So if you get a shut-off notice for $150 and you come in and pay $51 and you're now sitting at $99, you're off the list. You have to wait until your next bill comes out to jump you over $100. So just before we get into any more, are there any questions on the timeline here before we go on? Okay. If we'll get into the 4 points in the memo, and there is one that we're going to add, and I'll get into that in a minute here. Sam, if you do the late fees. The first item is the late penalty that we apply to the bills. Currently, we're at 5%, and we'll try to get as much of it on here as we can. We did a survey a couple months ago. It wasn't very scientific. We just picked communities that we knew were close around us, and then we went to a number of different counties to also try and see what other counties were doing. That way, we wouldn't be too DuPage-centric or close Cook County. If you look there, I mean, we have extreme South Cook County with Flossmoor. We have North Shore with Glenview. We have Arlington Heights, Buffalo Grove. We also have a number of the collar communities here to Wooddale. The only one that's close to Wooddale that's at 5% is Elmhurst. Roselle is really an odd one. I'd rather not get into how they do that. And so if you just look there, you can see that the vast majority of them are 10%. And this year, this fiscal year, we've applied late penalties, I would say 4 times, Nicole? 4 times. The first 2 months on Springbrook, we didn't because the bills got out a little later than we would have liked, and we're working through some of the kinks. In those 4 months, in the preceding 4 months that we've applied late penalties, that's been right around $40,000 in late penalties that we've applied. So that being 5%, that extrapolates out to over $800,000 of water bills that have not been paid on time, which comes out to about 30% of the water bills that are late in aggregate in the last 4 months. And so with number 1 on here, we're just requesting that we increase it from 5% to 10% just to be in line with the vast majority of the other communities around us and in other counties around us.
Let me see if there's any questions on that. Mr. Nuzio?
As far as, I see all the 10% and everything over there, and we're at 5. We're going to jump from 5 to 10. I mean, the economy's already a little rough. I understand. But do we have to jump all the way to 10? Can we just, if you want to increase it a little, maybe 7% or something, do we need to go all the way to 10? I mean, we're not trying to make this a moneymaker, right? We're just trying to deter people into paying their bills on time, right?
Correct. And one of the things, if you'll notice on I believe it's the 3rd page of the memo, we can, we do reserve the right to waive some of these. We have had a number of people, and Alderman Wesley, you asked me a couple times, what if somebody comes in and says, hey, I just lost my job, unemployment just kicked in, I've never been late before, do I really have to pay this 5%? At that point, Ms. Hoffman will go and look. No, you haven't been late before in a rolling 1-year period, and we can waive that fee for them. And we have had quite a few people come in, a couple days after the bill has been sent out, or the bill was due rather, said, hey, I just lost my job, unemployment just kicked in, can you help me out? I really don't want to pay this $5 or whatever. And we have waived quite a few of those for people with the economic hardship that come in and ask for it. So we're not trying to make this a moneymaker. We are trying to get the number of late notices we send out and shut-off notices that we send out. And as far as going to 7 or whatever, we're just trying to be consistent with everybody else. So
You have a follow-up question? Go ahead.
Just because they're overcharging, doesn't mean we have to overcharge. That's all I'm saying. It could be a little easier.
That's why we brought it to you for discussion. So
Okay.
if you want it to be 7 and
Mr.
that's how the vote goes, that's how the
Mr.
vote will go.
Lewitton?
Brad, when somebody hooks up, I'm sorry, Mr. Brad Wilson, when somebody hooks up, what's the security deposit?
$50.
At what point is that increased?
The deposit itself is not increased. It's $50 when they first sign up for service, and on their final water bill when they move out, when they final out their account, that $50 is applied to their final billing balance, and that's how they get it back. So if their final bill is $40, they'll get a check in the mail for $10. If their final bill is $60, they'll just owe us $10.
I spoke to you about this earlier, not that long ago, but I did speak to you earlier, and my opinion is that your goal is to get compliance, and our goal is to minimize hardship. I don't think we should increase the late fee at all. I think 5% is quite fair. The whole purpose is just to encourage people with a penalty. And because it's a common practice, we're basically following common practice. What I said to you before, and I'd like to say to you now and to your two associates, is I think it would be better to increase the security deposit. Because if a person is late on a $100 bill, whether they pay $5 or $10 late fee has no bearing on their ability to pay the next month's or the later months or the months afterwards bills. What will deter them and keep them paying the bill is if the security deposit is increased by 1 month's average bill every time they reach the point that they're into the, you took it down, I'm not sure, to the 26th day or the 26th. Well, that's too early. I like your
We'll get it back up there.
your 52-day
We'll get
one.
it back up there for you.
Okay, yeah, the new bill due, the 52-day one. If they get the bill and it says the bill is now an additional $100 for security deposit, I think the out-of-pocket is going to shock the people who are late, and at the same time, we're not taking any money away from them. We're just asking them to move it from their low-interest-bearing account in their bank to a non-interest-bearing account with the water department. And I think more people will be more shook up about paying an extra $100 than they are about $5. Please, your comment.
You know, the deposit that we charge. Well, let me back up here a little bit. And Mayor, maybe you can help me out with some timeline here, if you may. The city had a deposit for a long time, and then back in the in the early 90s, the city went through and refunded everyone's security deposit. Then a number of years later, the council voted that they wanted them back again, and so then they went through and recharged everybody the security deposit. So the security deposit over the last 20 years has kind of been on the books, gone off the books, and come back on the books. And we don't, I hate to say we don't do anything with it, but we use it primarily just as a deposit to set up service. And if they ever just completely skip town, then we use that against their final bill. And so far as not charging them anything, I mean, they still have to take it out of their bank and give it to us. So it is going to cost them the $100 versus the extra 5% on their bill. So
When bail is reached by a judge, it's based on the possibility of flight risk. A deposit on the water bill is based on the probability of flight risk also. He who won't pay his bill on time becomes a greater risk for flight, for, in this case, abandonment of the house, default on the mortgage, and leaving with 3, 4, 5 months in arrears. So all you're asking is for the people who have shown that they are risks for flight on their water bill, put in a larger security deposit. And that way you're not penalizing anybody who's just simply late. I think the $5 that you might get is still a couple of bowls of cereal, boxes of cereal for the people who are honestly just late.
Well, Alderman Lewitton, the whole point of the security deposit is at the establishment of water service. So theoretically, you wouldn't be able to tell if somebody's a flight risk until they've already had service for some time, and then you're going to recharge them another security deposit?
Just like the electric company does. The electric company does that all the time.
If you look at the screen now, you'll see there the number of 28-day notices that we send out averages a little over 300 a month. And the number of 7-day notices, which is our final disconnection notice, I think just doing the math real quick back on the napkin averages out to about 80 to 85. So just using your proposal there, we would be going to these 85 people every month and saying, you owe us another $100 to these 85 residents.
You wouldn't be doing it every month. I'm giving you a global idea. If you want to do it once every 6 months, that's a choice. Once a year. But I do think that asking for additional security deposit equal to 1 month of their average bill on anybody who hits that 52-day mark, anybody can be late 30 days. That's not unusual in any economy, because most people are used to paying bills on a 30-day basis, even their credit cards. So I'm saying 52 days. When they're late 52 days, which is the next bill, you send out that they have been declared in arrears, and that their security deposit is being increased by $100 and it is now payable. We're not really not taking any money away from them, because you know why? The banks are paying very little interest on a checking account. Money are even non-interest bearing. You're basing this on the flight risk. You're doing this no different than the electrical company does it. ComEd will increase your electric bill by $200, $300 for escrow of security deposit if they feel that you're a poor pay and you're liable to use more electricity. I'm going to propose even to the council that that your amendments, what you're asking for, include no increase in the late fee, because we're not here to punish anybody for paying late in this or a good economy. We're here to get compliance. And asking for $100, even if they're going to get it back, is better in the way of bringing in compliance than charging $5, $3, $12 late fee.
Okay, let's go down the line. Alma Shark, you have anything to say? Christine, Mayor? Christine Winger?
Well, I was just going to say that I was going to actually comment on this, but I mean, if you want to wait until we get through the whole presentation and then we can take each of the recommendations.
Well, I think he's asking for a recommendation of this and recommendation for everyone or everything.
Yeah, I figured it'd be easier if we just handle them one at a time.
Okay.
in
That's
totality.
what it
That way-
is.
Okay, sure, okay.
That way, instead of going 1, 2, 4, you just go one at a time.
Because if we don't pass this one,
Right.
this program may be
They're
completely
all
gone.
they're all independent
Right.
of one another, so
Okay.
so they're not.
Well, so the first item is the 5%, like raising it to 10%. Is that correct?
Right, but there's no motion on the floor yet. I
Right,
was
well-
just wondering if there was any questions first.
Yeah, and I don't support raising it. I want to keep it at 5.
Okay. Mr. Coles?
I haven't got anything to say right now.
Okay. This part?
We don't need any official motions on the negatives or the affirmatives. We're just looking for direction, and then we'll come back to you with a revised ordinance at council level. So we're just looking for what you want in a revised ordinance.
I guess we should take a roll call on this. Is anyone in favor of upping it, or?
You could take a roll call, but I think staff kind of knows that we're going to keep it at 5%.
Okay, well, all right,
Mr.
let's,
Chairman, you need to make a motion. There needs to be a vote.
there does have to be a vote.
You've been discussing this without a motion on the table. Actually, you need to put the motion on the table first, then enter into the discussion and make your decision.
I am sorry, Mayor, that I screwed up on that case there. Okay. I'll obtain a motion to leave it at 5%.
Would you entertain a motion to add upping the security deposit for late pays, 52 days?
I'd like to see how much work that's going to be with staff to the time to do that before we do that. The motion's on the floor. There's a second to leave it at 5% right now. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed.
Opposed. So it fails. So I guess there ain't a motion. Anyone else like to obtain a motion?
I want to make a motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Coase.
I want to make a motion that we put it up to 10%, just like everybody else in the area. The only one that I see that isn't in that area is Roselle and Villa Park and Elmhurst. And all the rest in this area are all in 10%. So I think 10% would be what we should put the rate up. Everybody will probably be mad at me, but there are people that are moving out of Wooddale that are just walking out at night. They back up a truck and they walk out of their house and they just keep right on going, and they don't, and we're stuck with a water bill. We're stuck with going into the house, and the house on my street had water coming out of the garage because they didn't shut it off. And the guy walked out of the house and he was there at 6 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, the house was empty. So this is what's happening. And they're not shutting off the water, and they're breaking pipes. The water runs, and you have to get somebody in there to shut the waters off and put a tag on the house that's not livable. So I think it's time that we get a little stiff on some of this stuff, because it's getting to the point where people just don't care anymore. And that's my opinion.
We have a second. A roll call vote on this one.
Alderman Wesley,
No.
Alderman Police,
No.
Alderman Luetan, Alderman Shockey,
Yes.
Alderman Winger,
No.
Alderman Coles.
Yes, so we fail.
That fails.
Okay, I'm done.
Mr. Nuzio.
I'll make the motion to set it at 7%.
Is there a second? No second, that fails. Mr. Luton,
I make the motion that the Water Department increase the security deposit by 1 month's average cost for those people that are 52 days